Thank you, and please remain as you are and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Unlocked and into the dark. Some things are better left unknown. And I'll never find you here, 'cause no one's ever What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. Oh, what a sinner, is it in her? What's the truth in this riddle? Is love really just this simple?
Let's go, Brandon.
Can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays.
Psst, let's go, Brandon.
What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner, is it in her? Is this real? Just illusion? I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion. I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion. Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark delusion? Is this real or just illusion? I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion.
Rippin' Rabbit Hole is a community-driven radio. At times the community comments may reveal prejudices and other beliefs that we or our sponsors do not condone. Views or opinions expressed by the community, callers, or guests, are those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views or opinions of this site. Rippin' Common Sense content is intended for mature audiences only. Enjoy.
This is My Life DIY, and
Hi, this is Jojo.
Hi, my name is Ash.
Hey everybody, it's AJ the Rippin' Rabbit.
This is Cynthia Sue Larson.
This is your man Meta, aka Propagate This Light.
And you're now listening
to DarkWolf's Den.
The DarkWolf's Den Show on Rippin' Common Sense Radio.
Coming to you from a secret cave, hidden deep within the wilderness. This is the Darkwolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and we are broadcasting live from a secret cave, hidden deep within the wilderness of Tennessee. That's right. We're ripping through the electromagnetic soup, tearing through the atmosphere, and tunneling away into your radio like a quantum particle. This is the Darkwolf's Den Radio Show for Thursday, December the 2nd, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of a reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are going to be covering liberty, right? With liberty. What is liberty? What does that mean to you when you hear the word? We've spoken about rights so far in this series, and we hear the word liberty thrown around all the time, but what does it mean? Where does it come from? And what are the differences between liberty and equality, for instance? Is there a difference? You might be surprised. We're going to dig into all that and more here in just a moment, but first, let's go ahead and see who we have over here in the chat room joining in this Libertas soiree this evening. How you guys doing? It looks like we've got quite a few of you guys joining in over here. Michael Fontaine dropping in saying hi. JoJo's waving in at the top of the Dark Wolf's Den Show chat room over here. Glad to see both you and Michael Fontaine. Deranged Lunatic, a.k.a. DL. Great to see you, my friend. I'm sorry, Deranged Lunatic. Let me go ahead and do that word justice there. Sorry, tongue got a little slipped up for a second. Great to see you, my friend, a good friend from over there, the Creepy Little Book channel. Shout out to Pete. I know you watch every episode. Glad to have you along, too, even if in the after show. Michael Fontaine just got it. So YouTube's been acting funny, I guess, since I started the show. So put in chat there for anybody that may be having issues that can hear me. Or for those that can't hear me, to the ones that may be having issues, refresh your page, or if YouTube ever does that, it's done that to me too, it'll just stop in the middle of a show. Refresh the page and see if it restarts at the beginning or if it works correctly, and so far it's working correctly. Hello everybody over in the Rippin' Rabbit Hole chat room. Also JoJo's waving in over there. Sandy B says, hey y'all. Hey Sandy, think you meant to put the American flag there? Unfortunately it just keeps showing US on my end, but I know what you mean. USA, yes ma'am. Your book came today. I'm so glad to hear that. For those of you guys who don't know what I'm talking about, we'll discuss that here in just a moment. Raider Champion, glad to see you, my friend. Dropping the Wonderland link in there, of course. Earth Daughter, glad to have you here with us. Alva Yarder saying, hello everyone. Hello Alva Yarder, glad to have you along for the ride. Terry Taggart saying, hello everyone. Hey Terry, a pleasure to have all of you guys. I need to go ahead and get rid of this real quick here. Sorry about that. We just had a little goofiness go on in the Dark Wolf's Den Show chat room. I will take care of that. But anyway, Errol Taylor, glad to have you along for the ride. Also says, let's go Brandon FJB. I fully agree. All right, ladies and gentlemen, who else we got here? That looks like everybody. Glad to see all of you guys here tonight. It is really an honor and a pleasure for this very important episode. And whether you are listening on the YouTube chat rooms or around the world on Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, we appreciate having every last one of you guys along for the ride. Before we do dig into the important information of this episode, and it is an incredibly important episode, make no mistake of that. We have a very special announcement, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor and pleasure to announce that I have now become a published author on top of being with IMEC and as well as the host here on the DarkWolf's Den Show. Folks, our first book, Moon Madness, has been released this month. Originally written in 2015, this book only becomes more relevant by the day. If I may really quickly read the synopsis, what would you do if you found out that almost everything that your government has told you was a lie? Jeremy Carlson and his fiancée Brittany Parsons decided to take a vacation in a lunar cabin. Everything was going great until strange things started happening after they went to sleep. Are they being abducted, or are they catching moon madness, a strange phenomena thought to be caused by the lower gravity of the moon? After a fateful meeting with a guy named Zach Marshall, things become a lot clearer. They are now determined to expose the governing body of the Earth and Moon, known as the World Council. Will the three of them succeed, or will things go horribly wrong? Find out in this new soon-to-be bestseller by first-time author J.W. Hicks. Check it out on Amazon, Kindle version $7, paperback $12, just in time for the Christmas holiday, ladies and gentlemen, and we would very much appreciate that. And with that said, thanks for bearing with me, ladies and gentlemen. As you guys know, before we continue, we have two more fun little segments to do, the first of which we call Today in History. On this day in 1950, I, Robot, a collection of sci-fi short stories by Isaac Asimov, is published by the Genome Press in the USA. That occurred on this day in 1950, and that is today's segment of Today in History.
Say what?
Our quote today, folks, comes from George Bernard Shaw. From his book Man and Superman, he writes, and I quote, "Liberty means responsibility. That is why most men dread it," end quote. And that is today's segment of
Say what?
Thank you, Stewie, and that is so very true. Liberty means responsibility, and we'll touch back on that here in just a moment. But, I have included in the beginning of every episode now both the Star-Spangled Banner and the Pledge of Allegiance. And when I was in school, we used to say that every single day, as I'm sure they did in the time that most of you listening were in school also. But what are we saying? We kind of take the words for granted and just do it monotonously, but what does the Pledge of Allegiance really say? What are we pledging when we say that? Of course, we're pledging our allegiance to the flag, but let's break that down a little bit better. And the best breakdown I have ever heard of this, ladies and gentlemen, comes from the late, great Red Skelton. Check this out.
But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher. Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell. He says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester. And it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word.
Remember, words are very important. Language matters.
I.
Seems pretty self-explanatory to me.
Me. An individual, a committee of one. Pledge.
What does it mean to make a pledge?
Dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity.
And what are we pledging here?
Allegiance.
Which is?
My love and my devotion.
My love and my devotion for what?
To the flag. Our standard, Old Glory. A symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect. Because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts, freedom is everybody's job.
The importance of that line cannot be understated, right? It is everyone's job to help uphold and maintain each other's freedom and defend against any those who would have it taken away.
United. That means that we have all come together.
I think we can all agree on that definition of united.
States. Individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that's love for country.
And as we know, that number has grown to 50 states now. Some in the Mandela Effect community would argue 52 at one point. But anyways, that's a little off topic. Anyway, the 50 states, of course, 50 individual communities who have come together with one goal for love of country, to be one united country, conglomerate, if you will, one United States of America.
And to the Republic.
And as we have talked about in previous episodes of the Freedom Flame series, republic in itself, a very important word, but what America truly is, unknown to apparently the Democrat Party and those that seem to think they're in some kind of power right now. They seem to think we live in a democracy instead of a republic, a dirty word game they try to play on the American people.
A state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people.
To quote Ronald Reagan, the people tell the government what to do. The government does not tell the people what to do. End quote.
For which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty.
And how would you define liberty, Red Skelton?
Which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation.
The right to live one's life without threat, fear, or some sort of retaliation. The right to be free. Liberty.
And justice. The principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all. Which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer, and that would be eliminated from schools too?
And it's almost as if Red Skelton was a psychic, because that's pretty well what has happened, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? Is that not what has happened in this country? They have done everything they can to turn America into something that is absolutely not. And taking the Pledge of Allegiance out of school was one of the ways that is, of course, a great way to turn the children of America on America. A very devious plan indeed, but if they are trying to create the end of America, if they're trying to create a different America, maybe we should go back and take a look at the beginning of America and why it is so absolutely valuable that we have liberty. What does liberty really mean to the founders of this country?
What is liberty? also called freedom, is really what we say when we mean self-government.
Again, this cannot be emphasized enough. Self-government, not overlord government, not dictatorship government, not tyrannical government, self-government.
Now, in the history of the world, no one had ever governed themselves, no nation, no people, ever until 1776. And so why in the world did self-government suddenly pop up and, as we now know, flourish for almost 2.5 centuries?
And I'm sure some of you have heard the phrase the American experiment, the experiment of freedom, or the experiment of liberty, right? That is because, once again, this had never been done in the history of governance of the world. It was a brand new radical concept at the time.
We have to really understand the preposterous idea of self-government. In other words, there's a very good reason people had not governed themselves, because it's essentially impossible. People do what they want. Usually the strongest person, the person with the biggest gun or the most power, takes control and rules and governs those under him. And if it's a decent ruler, things are okay. If he's not a decent ruler, things are miserable. That's kind of the history of mankind in a nutshell.
As we learned in previous episodes, the mob rule democracy, or the corporate rule oligarchy, tends to follow this pattern of the biggest guy with the biggest guns becomes the leader.
Suddenly in the 18th century, Americans came up with this idea, the wild idea of liberty that had never been done before, and we can't take it for granted because it's so fragile and so crazy, it really shouldn't exist at all. So what was it that made them think they could pull it off?
Liberty is amazingly fragile, which is why it's everyone's job to defend and uphold each other's liberties as well as our own.
Well, leaving the Constitutional Convention, because we know that 1776, we declare we're the United States of America. We fight, we win 1783. But
remember, we are 1-0 against tyrannical governments. Just saying.
In the 4 years between 1783 and 1787, things weren't working so well, so they go back to the drawing board in Independence Hall in Philadelphia. They, meaning Ben Franklin and Washington and the gang of founders, and they say, can we create a government that works, where people govern themselves? Never been done before. Can we do it? And the answer, in a nutshell, should be no. To cut to the chase, they do it.
So according to all known logic of their time, self-governance was absolutely impossible. There was no way you could set up a government system like that could work. Turns out they were wrong. The founding fathers figured it out. Brilliant men that they were.
Benjamin Franklin leaves Constitutional Convention. This is at the end of 100 days. They're done. And a woman, Mrs. Powell of Philadelphia, says, "What have you given us, Dr. Franklin, a monarchy or a republic?" They honestly didn't know if it was possible. Maybe they'd end up with like a soft monarchy or something along those lines. Well, no. He looks at the woman, Mrs. Powell, and he says, "A republic, madam, if you can keep it."
As some of you guys know, that is one of my favorite Benjamin Franklin quotes, but so very true at the same. If you can keep it. A republic, if you can keep it. And right now we are so very close to being on the verge of losing our constitutional republic thanks to this one-party system that has seemed to overtake the government, where it almost looks like we don't have a splitting of powers anymore. All the powers tend to just, coincidentally agree with each other. So again, so fragile that it's every one of our responsibilities as an American to both look out for our own liberties and freedoms as well as those of others, whether we agree with them on all principles or not. Like I've said before, I don't agree with some of those in the paranormal world. Some of us in the paranormal world don't agree on on a lot of stuff. I'm not gonna, throw out those that I disagree with, but the point is, whether I agree with them or not, I will fight to the death for your right to say them. and for us to have the ability to debate the validity of these different topics and ideas. It is very, very absolutely important that those of us that are American, that are worldwide, as a matter of fact, that is an unalienable right given to us by our Creator, but especially here in America, that we have our republic, that we do everything we can to protect our republic, our freedoms, our rights, and our liberties. And we must protect them for each other as well as ourselves. I cannot drill that home enough tonight. It's not necessarily about the liberties and rights of me, but it's about yours and mine and everyone else's. Like Red Skelton said earlier, it's not just my country, it's all of our country, and it's all of our responsibility to ensure we keep that the republic that it is meant to be.
That's the key. If we want self-government, we have to govern ourselves. Can we do it? If we're free, if we're genuinely self-governing, then it cannot be coerced. There can be no real force involved. So there's a conundrum, and here is how it works. I learned this from Os Guinness. He calls it the golden triangle of freedom. The golden triangle of freedom is that freedom requires virtue, virtue requires faith, but then faith in turn requires freedom, which requires virtue, which round and round it goes. Okay, so
the golden triangle of freedom. I like that. From freedom to virtue to faith, back to freedom to virtue to faith, and so on.
Freedom requires virtue. A lot of times you hear people say, like, hey, freedom is awesome, liberty and faith, they go together, freedom and faith, and you think, but why?
Very great question. Why do they go hand in hand?
Because to be truly free, you must govern yourself. And the question is, why would you govern yourself freely without being forced? Well, it would be because you have to have virtue. All of the founders, every one of them understood this idea, that this crazy idea that had never been done before of liberty, self-government, couldn't work unless you have a virtuous people who will govern themselves when nobody's pointing a gun at them, nobody's threatening them. They'll do the right thing on their own. Why? Because they have virtue, because they answer to a higher authority. Real virtue coming from real faith must be free. The people have to choose it of their own accord, and we can't force freedom. So it's an amazing thing. And they said what we have to do is we have to teach people this idea, and we have to encourage faith. But we can't force it by government. But we have to encourage a culture of faith.
Encouraging a culture of faith is the opposite of what they've done for the last couple of generations. They've done everything they can, as a matter of fact, to do the absolute opposite.
So when Franklin comes out of Independence Hall and the woman says to him, "What, are you giving us a republic or a monarchy?" He says, "A republic, madam, if you can keep it." And it is something of a miracle that for almost 2.5 centuries we have kept it.
Something that has only been kept by those who have stood up to defend the Constitution and the freedoms and the flag under which we live. Those who have died defending this flag, defending the rights, freedoms, and liberties of this country. Without their sacrifice, we could have never become what we have. And we are a self-governing people. We are supposed to have a representative democracy, though it seems that our representatives have forgotten what their job is and who exactly they represent, right? And it just seems more and more every day that what is supposed to have been this great country of America is being ripped right out from underneath us by those that are supposed to be defending and protecting us. No, I don't mean our military. I mean the other branches of our corrupted government here in the United States. It is without question that they have done everything in their power for the last couple generations to turn what was the great dream of America into the great nightmare that we see around us every day. This is becoming something very, very dangerous, and if we let our liberties slide even a little bit, then they will be taken away from us permanently, and they're a lot harder to get back when the government steals them than just asking for them and them saying, okay, as we've seen here recently with society, right? We have had our rights and liberties stomped on a lot in the last 2 years, and it takes every last one of us standing up saying, I've had enough for this to end. We, the people, have all the power. We need to quit thinking these people in Washington are our controllers or leaders. They do not tell us what to do. We do not work for them. They work for us. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, it is, of course, time to go ahead and take a network break right here. So my name's Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and you're listening to the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show Freedom Flame series with Liberty, right here on the Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. We'll be right back with the second half of the DarkWolf's Den Show after these messages. Don't you touch that dial. That's right.
We gotta stoke the fires and run off the men in black. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Oh yeah, that howl means your weekend has officially begun. Hi everyone, it's AJ, the Rippin' Rabbit. Are you enjoying the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show for Thursday, December 2nd? Freedom Flame series with Liberty? I know I am. If you are and you haven't done so already, please make sure to thumb up that video, hit that subscribe button, and ring that bell. You'll get our notifications every time we go live. We apologize. Last night's show had to be postponed, but it is going to return again next Wednesday night as the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show will explore the state of mystery for Mississippi. That's MISSISSIPPI next Wednesday night. I'll return again tomorrow night, Friday, December 3rd, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, as all shows do. Come along with me as we journey deep down through the rabbit hole of distraction. Look, a squirrel! Want to go for a bike ride? Come along with us tomorrow night, and we will do just that. Then Saturday night, December 4th, time tunnels. We've done shows on time traveling before. I don't think I've ever done a show on time tunnels. We're going to dive deep down and explore the rabbit hole of time travel and perhaps the people who have traveled through time tunnels. And then, of course, Sunday, December 5th, kicks off our monthlies. 2 upcoming monthlies you want to pay attention to. Mark your calendars, be here or be square. Sunday, December 5th, for Beat Eugene 7, the most interactive game show on radio. Will you beat Eugene, or perhaps will he beat you? For our 7th installment, our December edition of Beat Eugene, happening Sunday, December 5th. But that's not going to end out the weekend right together with you. No. You get one hop over Monday into Tuesday, December 7th, for Tuesday night videos hosted by Raider Champion in the Backstage VIP Chat Lounge. Join Rippin' Rabbits live in the VIP Lounge Tuesday night, Tuesday, December 7th, 2021. Starts at our regular time at 7 p.m., but it's not here on YouTube. You have to come into the Backstage VIP Lounge for this event. And Tuesday Night Videos is going to be presenting the TNV Holiday Celebration, exploring music and videos from the holiday season. Plus, music trivia, followed by open requests. It's a lot of fun. So sign up for your Backstage VIP pass at rippinrabbithole.com. We will return to tonight's topic with Liberty and Jerry Hicks and the DarkWolf's Den. You're listening to the Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole.
This is My Life DIY, and
hi, this is JoJo.
Hi, my name is Oz.
Hey everybody, it's AJ the Rippin' Rabbit.
This is Cynthia Sue Larson.
This is your man Meta, aka Propagate This Light.
And you're now listening
to DarkWolf's Den.
The DarkWolf's Den Show on Rippin' Common Sense Radio.
If you were meant to be controlled, you would have come with a remote, but you didn't. And that's why you listen to the DarkWolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and welcome back to the second half of the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show for Thursday, December the 2nd, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of a reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Folks, if you're just tuning in tonight, you have missed an amazing episode so far. We have covered the Pledge of Allegiance and a much deeper meaning behind it, as well as liberty, as we learned the equivalent of freedom, and the responsibilities that we all have to upholding the freedoms and liberties that we all enjoy. And we are going to carry on that discussion now as we discuss freedom and equality, because they both sound great and they both sound like wonderful ideas, but are they really? How do they relate to each other? Ladies and gentlemen, if we do not know our history, it can be stolen from us and rewritten in a way that is untrue of reality, as we've seen happen many, many times in the past. So that's not even conspiratorial talk. Just look into some history, and looking into some history is what we need to continue to do this evening as we discuss freedom and equality.
I guess freedom and equality are big things, and I need to talk to you about because they're really, really important. There were two revolutions in the end of the 18th century, the American Revolution and the French Revolution.
Of course, we usually know, or tend to think we know, quite a bit about the American Revolution, not so much about the French Revolution, right?
American 1776, the French 1789, very close to each other. The French Revolution and the American Revolution emphasize different values. They emphasize some of the same, but the essential difference was different. The American Revolution was about liberty. That's why the French gave us, not themselves, the Statue of Liberty.
Liberty that, as we know, is under more and more threat every day by those that are supposed to be protecting it.
And the French Revolution emphasized equality. Now, you have to understand that the American Declaration of Independence also emphasized equality, but there's a very big difference.
Again, the definition of terms is extremely important. Language matters.
The American Revolution recognizes that we are all created equal by our Creator, by God. So in front of God, we're all equal.
I doubt that anybody would dispute that particular fact.
And in front of the law, we're all equal. But that's it.
So even in the eyes of the law, rich, poor, male, female, black, white should have no bearing. We are all of equal right and status under the law in the eyes of God.
In the French Revolution, we were all to be equal, not just in front of the law, not just in front of God. In fact, they didn't care much for God. It was a secular revolution. Ours was a God-centered one. Ours, that is the American. But they wanted equality of result.
If you are paying attention to the world around you, some of you might see exactly what he is talking about here.
That's why they would call each other some variation of the word comrade. All left-wing revolutions ended up with the word comrade. We're all the same. We're all equal. We're all comrades. Even Stalin, who could kill you just by flicking his fingers, he was called Comrade Stalin. And there you had equality.
Remember Orwell and the animal farm, all animals are created equal. Some are just more equal than others. Or in this case, humans, some are just more equal than others, comrade.
Now, let me explain something. Equality of result means the end of freedom. You cannot have equality of result and freedom at the same time.
For those that are around my age, you may remember the USSR and the government that they had, where everybody was considered equal, right? Equal pay, equal everything. There is no way to break out and do anything. You are what the state tells you you are. You are all equal to each other. You are all comrades. You all make the same amount. You all do the same thing, right? The very, very epitome of the opposite of freedom. That is one reason that things going on in today's world scares a lot of us, because we've seen where it goes, we've seen what it becomes, and we do not want that in this country of freedom, not equality of result.
I have mentioned this, I know in the past, because I know the analogy I gave, that with equality of result, a football player would not make more than a teacher, would not make more than a doctor or a sanitation worker, right? In true equality, everybody would make the same living. But if everybody made the same living, that means that you decreed it, you forced it on society. In a free society, a quarterback or a shortstop in baseball or a goalie in hockey, or soccer, if you will. I have no problem mentioning soccer, though I'm American, because a lot of you are watching around the world where soccer is the sport. That's fine with me. Goalies make more money than doctors. Now, why is that? Doctors save lives, goalies don't. They save games. It's a big difference between a game and a life. But a free society allows that to happen. In a free society, your amount of work and your talent and your luck, all of them play a role in life, determine where you will end up. Whereas in an egalitarian society, everybody gets the same salary and the same benefits and so on. America wanted people to be free. So why doesn't everybody want to be free? Why would people prefer equality to liberty?
Now, I know that there are a lot of us that are asking this question, something we keep scratching our heads wondering how we got to where we're at in today's society, especially in America. And the question that we always ask is, how can these people not understand freedom? How can they not want to be free? Well, there's actually an answer to that. And we spoke about it quite a bit in the first half.
It's a very tough question to answer because I don't relate to it at all. I have no issue with people earning 10 times, 50 times, 100 times, 1,000 times more than me. I never cared. I just wanted to be free. I wanted to make my own life. But not everybody wants to do that because the desire to be taken care of is much greater than the desire to be free in most people.
I'm going to repeat that because it is, once again, incredibly important to grasp this concept. People would rather be taken care of than be free. Again, I can't comprehend that. Like he said, I can't understand why people would want something like that. For me, I want freedom and nothing less.
This is incredibly important. Liberty is a value. The human instinct is not to be free. It's to be taken care of. But then you're not free. That's the way it works.
One must be willing to take care of one's self, not allow oneself to be taken care of, or as such, like a ward of the state, if you will.
You take care of yourself, which is the second reason people are not crazy about freedom. It means I am responsible for me. And that is a burden.
Believe it or not, most people do not like responsibility, do not like being responsible for themselves and their actions.
Because if you don't succeed in life, I don't mean don't succeed by don't make a lot of money, just don't succeed. People understand what that could mean. You end up a lost soul, if you will, a loser in the vernacular. That's right. But then you are responsible in the vast majority of cases.
Whether you win or lose, you make it in this world or you don't in this society, is your responsibility. Your responsibility to work, to learn a skill, to use your talents to survive in this society, right? It's your responsibility what happens to you. If you decide to undergo medical procedures, that's your responsibility. If you decide not to undergo an experiment or a medical procedure, that is, of course, again, your right and responsibility to make such a decision. A lot of people don't like being responsible for themselves, let alone responsible for helping uphold the freedoms and liberties that we all maintain or attempt to maintain in today's world.
Now, there are cases where you're not responsible. Clearly, we understand that, where some horrible disease has taken you over, or you have been hurt terribly by a criminal. I mean, we understand that. And then society has to come in and help you.
Just imagine, hypothetically, if a large number of the population was injured by a experiment of some type, what the toll would be on the society that has to take care of a larger number of people than usual. If something goes horribly wrong in our society, that very well could be the case, and it would only work to weaken or cripple our society and not strengthen it because of the responsibility we have to each other and helping each other. Especially those that, like he said, have been injured by some means.
We fully understand that. The American ideal was this. 1, I take care of me. 2, I take care of my family. 3, I take care of my community. The American ideal was that the state doesn't have to take care of anyone, because we will.
In a truly free society, there should be no need or use for a welfare state where the state takes care of the people. That is another type of governance altogether, as we know.
We, the members of the Rotary Club, the members of the church, the members of the Bible Society, whatever it might be, we will take care of the community, and they did. To this day, Americans are the most charitable people in the world per capita. Why are Americans far more charitable, give far more of their income than Europeans? Why? Because Europeans were taught the socialist ideal, that the state takes care of everyone. Americans were taught you take care of your community and certainly your family. It was considered actually a shame to have the state take care of you. You mean your family didn't take care of you? You didn't take care of you? Your community didn't take care of you?
And it's even more shameful that the current regime in power in the United States wants to do the opposite and create a larger welfare state where the government takes care of you, and they should be more ashamed than those that are using the system unrightly so. Not those that need the help. Yes, like was stated earlier, there are those that need help. But those that need help shouldn't be the ones that are living off the government and driving the fanciest cars and the fanciest cell phones and everything else, because they're a part of this welfare state where the government pays them. The government takes care of them and decides how much money they get and basically give the bank to these folks. Let's be honest here. I have had to use state-issued assistance at different times. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But what I am saying is that the government ought to be ashamed of itself for trying to force this nonetheless on the people of this country, to try to enact a larger welfare state and take people off of the true American way of living and earning what you have.
We are on the very verge of ceasing to keep it, because a piece of this, a big piece of this, is teaching every generation how it works, what America is, what American freedom is, and why it is wonderful, why we need to treasure it, because we want to flourish so that, biblically, we are blessed to be a blessing. We want to be free and prosperous so that we can bless the whole rest of the world, so we can export these wonderful God-given ideas to the whole world. It is a golden dream. It's why Winthrop called us a shining city on a hill. The idea that we could be that, truly free, so that people would look at us and say, that's beautiful, I would like to have that. That's the golden triangle of freedom, and that's, in a nutshell, who we are in the United States of America. May God help us to keep it.
Amen. May God, Smith & Wesson, and Remington, all three, help us to keep it, right? In the end, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot stress the importance of all that we went over in this episode. I know it's a lot of information. Please go back, listen to it again, share it out. This is information that has been lost in today's society and needs to be brought back into the forefront. But in the end, ladies and gentlemen, all you can do is look at the evidence, apply a little common sense, and we got to close it out. That's right, that's it for this episode of the DarkWolf's Den Show for Thursday, December the 2nd, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of a reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, the Den may be closing for the weekend now that we finally got it kicked off right. Apologies for last night, of course. But don't you worry, even though the Den may be closing, the weekend fun has only just begun. That I promise you. Come back to the Rippin' Rabbit Hole tomorrow, Friday, December the 3rd, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, where our good buddy AJ the Rippin' Rabbit takes back over the airwaves with an all-new episode of the Rippin' Rabbit Hole live show. That's right. Make sure you come back and check out his episode on distraction. We all need a little distraction every now and again in our lives. It doesn't hurt to take our mind off of the crazy around us from time to time. We just got to be careful not to get lost in the distraction, right? I'm sure AJ will cover all that and more on Friday, December the 3rd, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, right here on the Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. Of course, all shows here on the network start at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, like the one on Saturday, December the 4th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. Can you guys believe it's the beginning of December already? Absolutely mind blown. Maybe we can jump in a time tunnel and go on back to an earlier part of the year, or a year prior to this, right? Maybe that would be a lot of fun, and AJ will be discussing the strange cases of the phenomena of time tunnels, a phenomena that I find very, very intriguing. He will be discussing that phenomena on Saturday, December the 4th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. Then on Sunday, November 5th, the monthlies begin here on the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. That's right, you've got the first game of the month, the Beat Eugene show, the most fun you can have on the radio. That's right, can you beat Eugene? It only has 3 places on the podium, but if you can get Eugene down low enough, maybe you can get a chance to beat Eugene. Also, I didn't beat Eugene last time. I came in, I think, 5th, very much closer than I was, but I still did not beat Eugene. But maybe you can. come on by on Sunday, December 5th for a night of fun, trivia, games, and again, all the fun you can have on radio, and see if you can get on the podium and beat Eugene. I know I'll be there playing along with the rest of the rabbits. We would love to have you too, especially if you've been listening worldwide to our episodes. And then our weekend doesn't end there, ladies and gentlemen, or the next weekend might start early. I'm not sure how to count it, but you only get to hop over Monday. And on Tuesday, the other monthly here at the Rippin' Rabbit Hole, a Rippin' Rabbit Hole backstage exclusive show. The Tuesday night videos, another interactive fun game that you can come on by and join us with you. If you enjoy trivia and music trivia especially, and you remember the days of music videos, come on by and join us for a music video trivia, holiday based. Of course, both games will be holiday based this month, as would be expected. But come on by the rippinrabbithole.com, drop into the 24/7 Backstage Lounge and join us to see if you can become the new champion of the Tuesday night videos. Rumor has it, and I have it on good authority, that the super champion of Tuesday night videos, Sandy B, will not be joining this round, so perhaps you will have a little bit more of a chance. At least maybe I will have a better chance of getting on the board and even winning, right? Or maybe you can come beat us all Tuesday, December the 7th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, hosted by our good buddy Raider Champion, who does an incredible job over there. And all you got to do is go on to the rippinrabbithole.com. That is RIPON, RABBITHOLE.com. Over there, you're going to sign up for the Backstage Pass, absolutely free all the time. Not only does it get you access to things like the 24/7 Backstage Lounge and the social media exclusive that we have over there, where we can share information freely, something you don't get to do with the other networks, as you guys know. Anyway, come on over and join us with all that. And you also get the newsletter once a week announcing all the Rippin' Rabbit Holes and DarkWolf's Den shows coming all weekend long. The most extended weekends of radio, ladies and gentlemen. The Animals of Radio hit you every week, and every extended weekend, I should say, with loads of fun and important and incredible information. Ladies and gentlemen, with that said, on behalf of AJ the Rippin' Rabbit, Chick Mandela Effect, Walt House, Michael Musco, everyone involved in the Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, our amazing mod team on both the DarkWolf's Den Show and Rippin' Rabbit Hole YouTube channels, and of course, Mr. Tom Bayless from Red Shed Studios for this incredible music. Hit it one time, Tom. If you're looking for a custom soundtrack for your next project, make sure you check out Red Shed Studios, links in the description. On behalf of all these folks, ladies and gentlemen, remember, until next time we meet, stay awake, but dare to dream. That's right. Good night, everybody. How? Yeah. That's right. Let's go, Brandon. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, whoever's left out there in the YouTube chat. Join me. Let's fire it up. You know what to do. Let's go, Brandon. FJB. Well, Biden's wrong about a lot. Let's go, Brandon. FJB. Let's go, Brandon. Let's hear it, ladies and gentlemen. Sandy B, there you are. I see you. Let's go, Brandon. FJB. Let's go, Brandon. I see you. Alva Yoder says good night, Alva Yoder. Let's go, Brandon. FJB. Let's go, let's go.
What's the truth in this riddle? Is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way. this world that never stays.
Let's go, Brandon. FJB. Rated Champion, I see you, bro. FYT, I agree. Let's go, Brandon. FJB. FYT. There you are, JoJo's ringing it in. Let's go, Brandon. What a sinner. Let's go, Brandon. He lives in a wonderland of illusion. Let's go, Brandon. FJB. FYT. Let's go, Brandon. FJB. I see you lighting it up in the chat. That's what I'm talking about. Is this real or just illusion? That's where Biden lives. A dark delusion. That sounds about right. Biden's in a wonderland of confusion. Let's go, Brandon. FJB. Let's go, Brandon. FJB. FJB. Let's go, Brandon. FJB. Raider says we're all living it. Yes, sir. Let's go, Brandon. FJB. FJB. FYT. Don't know what that means. Think it out a little bit. FJB. Let's go, Brandon. He's got to do something. Can't get much worse. Then again, don't tempt fate, right? Let's go, Brandon. Y'all know what it really means. To those that have stuck around this long, thank you so very much. I would encourage you, if you're looking for a Christmas gift and you happen to know a Scholastic reader or a reader at all, they might enjoy the new book by author J.W. Hicks, yours truly. Originally written in 2015, this book only becomes more relevant by the day. What would you do if you found out that almost everything your government has told you was a lie? In the year 2103, Jeremy Carlson and his fiancée, Brittany Parsons, decided to take a vacation in a lunar cabin. Everything was going great until strange things started happening after they went to sleep. Are they being abducted? Or are they suffering from moon madness? A strange phenomena thought to be caused by the lower gravity of the moon. After a fateful meeting with a guy named Zach Marshall, things become a lot clearer. They're now determined to expose the governing body of the Earth and the Moon, known as the World Council. Will the three of them succeed, or will things go horribly wrong? Find out in this soon-to-be bestseller by author J.W. Hicks, available on Amazon, $7 for Kindle, $12 for the paperback. Get yours today.